The rich man's mindset begins with understanding time. Wealth, real wealth, is not built through shortcuts or indulgence, but through sacrifice today for something greater tomorrow. He sees time as an ally, not an enemy. He knows how to wait, how to suffer with purpose, how to endure what is difficult now in order to multiply reward later. Emotionally, this requires strength most people never train, saying no to pleasure so you can say yes to legacy. Most people misunderstand well. They live as if their lives are short bursts of pleasure to be maximized rather than long arcs of meaning to be cultivated. The mindset of the rich man begins here with the discipline to trade short-term pleasure for long-term power. It's not flashy, it's not sexy, but it's everything, because delayed gratification isn't just a financial principle, it's a psychological and philosophical commitment to mastery over self. We live in a culture that idolizes the quick win, viral success, fast money, 0 to 1 in a single post. But here's the truth. Anything that rises too fast tends to collapse under the weight of its own illusion. The rich man, the real one, not the pretender driving a borrowed car for social media validation. He plays the long game. He understands compounding, not just in money, but in skill, in character, in value. He plants trees knowing he won't sit in the shade tomorrow. But someday, someone will. Maybe him, maybe his children. That kind of thinking requires strength and patience and pain tolerance. Psychologically, this is difficult because it requires resisting what's immediately available. Think about how that's for the average person today. Instant gratification is built into our phones, our food, our entertainment. Everything is engineered for speed and convenience. But the rich man is not average. He is not ruled by impulse. He has trained himself consciously to delay, to endure, to build. And this is what separates him from the masses. You don't build a legacy through dopamine hits. You build it through discipline. You get up early when you don't feel like it. You invest in skills before they pay off. You save when it feels like spending would ease the pressure. You study when no one is clapping. That's the grind nobody sees. And it's the very soil in which greatness grows. Philosophically, this is about time preference. High time preference means you value immediate rewards more than future ones. Low time preference means you're willing to delay gratification for a much greater future benefit. All great civilizations, all enduring people, all wise leaders, they operate with low time preference. They build for the future. The rich man does the same. He doesn't just think about today's profits. He considers tomorrow's freedom. He's not making decisions to impress strangers. He's making decisions to protect his future and shape his reality. And that requires emotional resilience. Because when you delay gratification, there's often no applause, there's silence, there's discomfort. Your friends might not understand. You'll be called boring, overly disciplined, even obsessive. But the rich man doesn't care because he's not driven by the emotions of the moment. He's governed by a mission, and that mission is worth more than any temporary satisfaction. In truth, delayed gratification is not self-denial. It's strategic investment. It's you saying, I am worth the wait. My goals are worth the effort. My future is worth more than my impulses. That's not a punishment. That's power. And here's the beautiful irony. The people who sacrifice pleasure now often end up with more pleasure later. They're the ones who retire early, who travel the world freely, raise families without fear, who contribute meaningfully to society. Not because they got lucky, but because they stayed focused when others were distracted. They understood what most people never learn, that freedom isn't given. It's earned through discipline. So ask yourself, are you consuming or building? Are you living for today? Or are you preparing for a tomorrow that your future self will thank you for? Are you strong enough to say no? Not because you're weak, but because you know exactly what you're building. The man who learns to delay gratification doesn't just get wealth, he becomes wealth. And in becoming it, he stops chasing it. Because real value always flows to those who can wait for it. The rich man blames no one. Not the system, not his past, not even luck. He takes responsibility fully, even when the odds are unfair. Especially then, because blaming external forces is the mindset of the powerless. Emotionally, this is brutal, but liberating. Once you own everything, you unlock your ability to change anything. The difference between the rich and the poor in mindset is not income, it's responsibility. It's a question of ownership. The rich man in mindset doesn't see himself as a victim of circumstance. He doesn't wake up blaming the economy, the government, his upbringing, or some distant abstract force for where he is in life. He wakes up and asks, what can I do about it? That's the posture of someone who owns his world. And without that ownership, no wealth, mental, emotional, or financial, can be built in any meaningful or lasting way. Now, ownership isn't a popular idea. It's hard. It means looking in the mirror and realizing that the problems in your life are not just caused by the outside world, but are, to a significant degree, reinforced by your own decisions, your own avoidance, your own excuses. And that realization stings. It humbles. It burns away your illusions. But it also empowers. Because when you stop outsourcing blame, you start reclaiming power. You go from being acted upon to becoming the one who acts. It's easy to stay in the mindset of helplessness. It gives you permission to do nothing. You believe your failures are all because of something external. Then you don't have to change anything about yourself. You get to complain, feel sorry for yourself, and wait for someone else to fix your life. But the rich man doesn't think that way. He understands a painful truth. No one is coming to save you. And the moment you accept that, something remarkable happens. You begin to say to yourself, psychologically, this shift is enormous. It's the movement from what psychologists call an external locus of control to an internal locus of control. I believe that your actions, your choices, your character, not the randomness of life. And while life is unpredictable and unfair at times, focusing on what's beyond your control only makes you weaker. The rich man, instead, focuses on what is in his control. And he masters it. Think about the people who rise out of poverty, who build something out of nothing, who escape terrible environments. Every single one of them has this trait, extreme ownership. They stop blaming. They start building. They work when they're tired. They study when they're confused. They fall and get up again. Not because life got easier for them, but because they got harder to break. And let me be very clear. This isn't about guilt. It's not about walking around ashamed of your failures. It's about honesty, brutal, radical honesty. You look at your life and say, where am I making excuses? Where am I giving away my power? Where am I waiting instead of acting? That level of introspection is rare. Most people are too afraid to confront their own role in their problems. But the rich man isn't afraid. He'd rather face the pain of truth than live in the comfort of a lie. This kind of responsibility doesn't make life easier. It makes you stronger. Because once you realize your life is in your hands, you stop wasting time. You start learning aggressively. You start showing up with discipline. You surround yourself with people who challenge you, not just comfort you. And eventually, you start to build a foundation so strong that no amount of chaos can shake it. There's a dignity that comes with owning your life. You may not be where you want to be yet, but you're no longer waiting for the world to fix it. You've taken command of the ship, and even if the sea is rough, you know which direction you're headed. Blame is the currency of the poor in spirit. Responsibility is the wealth of the strong. And the moment you take full ownership of your life, you stop living as a reaction and start living as a cause. Now, wealth is not about collecting currency. It's about creating value. The rich man asks, what can I give that is rare, useful, and needed? Instead of, what can I get? This is the shift from consumer to creator, from needy to needed. Emotionally, this is the beginning of self-worth, the understanding that your mind are assets, not liabilities. We've been trained, often unconsciously, to equate wealth with money. But money, in and of itself, is inert, just a placeholder, a tool, a symbol. It's not the source of wealth. The mindset of a rich man recognizes this. He doesn't chase money for its own sake. He chases value. He understands that wealth flows to those who provide something meaningful, something rare, something useful. And that value isn't found in the pursuit of currency. It's found in the pursuit of excellence, of creativity, of solving problems in a way others cannot or will not. When people are broke, not just financially but mentally, they often ask the wrong question. How can I make more money? The better question, the one a rich man asks, is how can I increase my value? Because money is just the byproduct of being valuable. If you obsess over money without developing your value, you'll become desperate. You'll cut corners, sacrifice your integrity, and burn out trying to manipulate outcomes. But if you focus on becoming the kind of person who makes things better, clearer, faster, stronger, then money becomes a natural consequence. You won't have to chase it. It will find you. Think about it this way. If you walk into a room and solve a $10 problem, you might get a handshake. If you solve a $10,000 problem, you'll get paid. And if you solve a $10 million problem, you'll be called a visionary. But to solve those higher level problems, you need to become someone capable of doing so. That means education. It means developing discipline, emotional regulation, the ability to think clearly under pressure. The rich man is obsessed with self-improvement, not because it's trendy, but because he knows his mind is his most important asset. There's something deeply philosophical here. We live in a consumer culture where most people are trained to consume rather than create. They scroll, they binge, they react, but they don't build, they don't produce. The rich man flips that. He lives in a creator's mindset. He doesn't just ask, what do I need? He asks, what can I give? Not in a naive or self-sacrificial way, but in a strategic one. He knows that contribution is the currency of the highest level of wealth. This requires a profound shift in how you see yourself. Most people are looking outward, comparing, envying, imitating. The rich man looks inward. He identifies what makes him different, not what makes him the same. He leans into his uniqueness. He doesn't fear being misunderstood because he knows the path to value often requires walking alone for a while. He takes risks others avoid. He experiments. He refines. And eventually, the world notices. But let me be clear, this mindset isn't just about market value. It's also about self-worth. When you stop seeing money as the prize and start seeing your own development as the prize, something changes inside you. You begin to carry yourself differently. You no longer tolerate mediocrity in your thoughts or habits. You become your own standard. And that, paradoxically, is exactly what makes you valuable to others. The most valuable people are those who bring clarity to chaos, who bring order to disorder, who can be counted on when things fall apart. And that's not about having the most certifications or the flashiest resume. That's about character. That's about composure under fire. These are inner traits, but they express themselves outwardly, and the marketplace recognizes them, even if it takes time. So here's the question. Are you trying to look rich, or are you trying to become rich in mind, in skill and soul? Because real wealth isn't about accumulation. It's not what you have, it's what you give that determines your place in the hierarchy of value. Chase value and money will follow. Chase money and value will flee. Be the person the world needs, and the world will pay attention. Comfort is a cage. The rich man knows that growth never happens where it's safe. He acts when others hesitate. He invests where others doubt. He risks failure, ridicule, and even loss. Not recklessly, but with courage born of vision. Emotionally, this is terrifying, but it's in the uncertainty that transformation happens. One of the most defining traits of a rich man's mindset is his relationship with risk. This is not about recklessness or impulsive decisions fueled by bravado. Rather, it's a deeply considered willingness to move beyond comfort, to confront uncertainty head on, and to embrace the possibility of failure as an essential part of growth. Most people avoid risk like it's a predator lurking in the shadows. They cling to safety, familiarity, the predictable, even if it means stagnation or decline. The rich man understands that comfort is a cage, an illusion of security that keeps you small and unfulfilled. Why is risk so essential? Because growth, real, meaningful growth, does not happen where things are easy. It happens on the edge of chaos, where you're forced to stretch your abilities, to innovate, to adapt. That's where you discover what you're made of. And here's a paradox that many fail to grasp. The more you embrace risk wisely, the more control you actually gain over your life. It's through risk that you build resilience, that you cultivate courage, that you accumulate experience. The rich man doesn't wait for a perfect moment. He creates one by stepping into uncertainty. There's a profound psychological dimension to this. Fear of failure is one of the most common human fears. It's wired into us for survival. But when it becomes the governor of our actions, it turns into paralysis. It keeps us stuck in jobs we hate, in relationships that drain us, in habits that destroy us. The rich man learns to sit with that fear, to understand it, and to move forward anyway. This doesn't mean he's fearless. Far from it. It means he's courageous. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's the mastery of it. Philosophically, embracing risk is an acceptance of life's inherent uncertainty. Life is unpredictable, uncontrollable, and often unjust. Trying to avoid risk entirely is like trying to hold water in your hands. It slips away. The rich man chooses to face reality as it is, not as he wishes it to be. He doesn't seek certainty, because certainty is a myth. Instead, he prepares himself to navigate the unknown with clarity and strength. This mindset fosters flexibility and innovation, two qualities essential for success in any endeavor. Consider the practical implications. The rich man takes calculated risks. He researches, plans, and anticipates outcomes, but he doesn't let the fear of possible failure stop him from acting. He knows that risk without action is wasted potential. And here's something crucial. Failure is never the end. It's feedback. It's a lesson. It's a step on the path to mastery. The rich man reframes failure from a disaster to a necessary experience. This shift is what allows him to keep pushing, keep creating, keep innovating. Emotionally, this is no easy task. Stepping the unknown triggers vulnerability and discomfort. It demands humility, because you must acknowledge that you don't have all the answers. It demands perseverance. But with each risk taken, with each challenge faced, the rich man's confidence grows. Not arrogance, but a grounded, unshakable belief in his ability to adapt and overcome. Also influences relationships and leadership. The rich man surrounds himself with others who understand the value of risk, people who challenge him, who hold him accountable, who share the vision for growth. Despite uncertainty, he knows that isolation breeds stagnation. Community, collaboration, and honest feedback are part of how he mitigates risk while still moving boldly forward. In life and in wealth, there is no safety without risk. To wait for the perfect moment, the perfect conditions, or the perfect plan is to wait forever. The rich man knows this well. He doesn't gamble blindly, but he refuses to be paralyzed by fear. And instead, he views risk as the necessary price of progress and the gateway to freedom. The truth is this: if you want to grow, to build, to create a life of real wealth and meaning, you must learn to embrace risk, not as a threat, but as a vital opportunity. Step boldly into uncertainty, for it is there that your true power awaits. The rich man's wealth is not for flaunting. It's for building generations, institutions, culture. He's not obsessed with status, but with significance. His question isn't, how much do I have, but what will remain because I lived? This is a shift from ego to impact. Emotionally, it's the difference between being remembered and being truly missed.